Welcome to the Waxing Podcast. I'm Kirsten Getzelman, esthetician, educator, and your host. Each week, we'll dive into real conversations, industry tips, and the kind of advice every beauty pro should have in their back pocket. This show is sponsored by Enso, a woman and esthetician-founded brand bringing better options to everyday beauty pros. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to the Waxing Podcast. Can you believe we're back? And we're not only back, but things are going to be so much fun this season. I feel like after all this time away, because yes, guys, I took a big break because I really wanted to come back with intention and with all of that stuff we'll get into in just a second. But I am so excited to be here that I'm probably going to ramble a little bit today because today's going to be my little intro episode about what you can expect, what we're doing here, why we're here, and basically like I just want to break it down to say this is going to be a season of like FaceTime phone calls. Instead of me having your number, just think of this as the FaceTime call that we need together. Unfortunately, you can't talk back, which is like sucks for me. However, I would love for that to be in the DMs. And by the way, the Waxing Podcast has got its own Instagram now. So if you're not following, but you listen, go do me a favor, go to the Waxing Podcast on Instagram and give us a little hello. I'm so excited to be kicking off the new season. If you guys can see my screen, then you know that we have rebranded. Okay, just got my Diet Coke fix. I feel like it's like an ad. Okay, welcome back. If you've been here since me being in my closet, my God, have we gone through so much together? I genuinely feel like this is my audio journal or like whatever you used to write in when you were in middle school, a journal, right? Was it called something else like better than a journal? Your like secret journal. I don't know, but that's what I feel like this is. Someone was just telling me that they were watching or listening to an episode where I was talking about Roman, my son's diagnosis. And I was like, oh my gosh, I should go back and listen to that because wow, I recorded that like a couple of years ago when all of the stuff was happening in real time. And I think I was like crying at one point and all of that. So like going down memory lane on the podcast is something I definitely have to do, but it feels so weird because I feel like it's like opening the past in a journal. So I'm just so excited. So if you guys have been here for all of that, hello, we've grown. Here we are. If you are listening for the first time because you found Tampa Waxer or you found the Waxing Podcast, or maybe this showed up on a suggested for you in your reels because Instagram is loving that, then hello, welcome. I'm Kirsten. I am the founder of Enso. I run the account Tampa Waxer, and I have been podcasting and yapping in your ears for many, many, many years. So welcome. I'm so excited you're here. Okay, so what to expect from this podcast this season? There's going to be a lot of FaceTime one-on-one with me and you. I'm really excited about that because I'm going to be breaking down just like industry standards. We're of course going to be learning. I've learned so much since I started business. So of course, I'm going to be shooting you guys all of those tips as well. And then starting Enso, giving you like the back end of like branding and all of that stuff that takes a brand from nothing to something. So I'm so excited to be giving you that wisdom. I'm also going to be having a long-term co-host come on in the near future. I'm so excited about that because, again, I always say to you guys a huge disclaimer. I don't know it all. In fact, I don't know a lot. But what I do know is that I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to learn with you. So if there's things that I'm talking about on this podcast to the best of my knowledge, this is what I know. And if you contact me and tell me I'm wrong, I am not going to ignore you. I'm going to go back and do my research because I myself am always learning. I am a 10-year licensed esthetician. Actually, you know what? I think I'm falling on 13 years and I think I'm going on 10 years of like waxing specifically. However, the growing never stops, the learning never stops. And if you're an esthetician who does not believe in that, then I feel already so bad for your career because we are an ever-changing industry. And I genuinely think that there's something new that I learn every single day. Like, oh my gosh, you guys don't shoot me for this, but I had somebody reach out to me on TikTok because I was doing one of my like day in the life videos where I don't talk, I don't do anything. I just put the camera up and I let it roll. And I'm just like breaking down my station after I did a wax or I'm cleaning up or whatever it may be. But anyway, I was breaking down my station and I put my tweezers and I wiped them down with a 4x4 so that the hair, all the excess falls off of it. And then I put it in my barbicide. And this girl was like, you are doing that wrong. You are supposed to fully clean them with dial soap or like some antibacterial soap. You are supposed to dry it and then you put it in the barbicide for 10 minutes and then you take it out and you dry it down and reset it out. And I was like, no. At first, I was like, no, girl, you're doing the most. And, sometimes like estheticians in school, well, sometimes like I get it at the trade show. Well, they'll like come to you and they'll be like, "No, this is how you do it." And I'm like, "No, this is how you're taught in school." Sanitation and all that stuff is obviously so important, but like they really emphasize some stuff that like in my opinion, right? I just said I'm not always right. So, but anyway, so she was telling me all that stuff and I'm like, no way. Well, then she's like, yeah, even the Barbicide website tells you this. And so I went to look it up and I kid you not, that is what you're supposed to do. So, for all of you guys who didn't know, you can't just like and put it in the barbicide, take it back out, and then like you're good to go. There's like a whole protocol. So again, this was not to call myself out, but to tell you that we're all learning. And with that being said, yeah, I'm going to go on to my favorite tweezer company's website, which is Browaholics, and I'm going to be purchasing more tweezers. And I think that should solve the problem because I don't have as many right now to do that with because it's unrealistic. I'm like dial soap, water, dry it, put it in barbicide, count the 10 minutes, take it out, another whatever minutes, dry it off, and then you're good. Like, girl, I would see 4 clients a week with that. Okay. Anyway, so what to expect. We're going to be doing a lot of learning, a lot of guests. We're going to be having a lot more solo episodes because I really just want to like hang with you. Like, I want to talk about the industry. I always tell people, like, I don't feel like I need new friends because I literally have internet friends and that's what you guys are to me. So I want to have some like face to face time with you, even though I'm not going to get to see your face day of. I hope to see it on social media and just like talk about the industry, talk about the experiences. I go to trade shows and all that stuff. So, like, coming back, reporting back, telling you what new products I like, telling you what I've been trying. I'll definitely start to order new things, try it. Yeah. And let's see, where's my phone at? Because that's what's been keeping me on track today. Okay, let's get into a little bit about why I rebranded, why it took so long to come back, and all of that jazz. So, last year I did an interview with Tanya from Just a Strip. It was such a good episode. It ended like that, and I felt really good about it because it was a really hefty episode. Actually, being so hefty, it was 2 episodes long. And after that, I really just wanted to reconnect with myself and reconnect with my purpose and figure out why I'm here in the first place. And when I started my podcast, I started it in the closet of my old house that I had bought. We sold it and now we're in an apartment that's smaller. But I started there because at the time it was so funny. I think I was looking on Google and I was like, what do you need to start a podcast? And they basically said a mic. At the time it was GarageBand, which as you can see, we're no longer on GarageBand because that just proves to you how ever growing the social media industry is. But at the time it was a mic, GarageBand, and then a insulated room. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, I have a 1-year-old. Like, what's insulated? Nothing. And the only thing in my house that was insulated was like my small closet. And so I was like, you know what? We all start somewhere, but let me tell you that that closet, as well as that microphone on Amazon, I think it cost me $35, honestly sounds better sometimes than the stuff that I'm using in today's time, which is definitely more high tech. I've definitely poured in some stuff to it, but like I started from scratch. With that being said, I didn't start an Instagram for the page. I didn't start like anything. I just kind of recorded and went because, to be completely honest with you, I thought that like 10 people would be listening to this, and had I known that it was going to blow up. But that's kind of like the whole point of starting a brand is like you start just to help one person. So you start not when you're ready and 100%, but you start now and you figure it out. And that's kind of how the podcast was for me. The rebrand happened because it was 2024 and Enso was happening. And, the moment that I really learned branding and like I really learned what I wanted to do. And I knew branding had to happen for that to come to fruition. Because in my opinion, not in my opinion, but like in what I wanted to do with Enso is like I wanted to like what is the word? I wanted to like go fast. I wanted to, be a force in the industry immediately. And so like the branding was so important and the messaging and the vision and all of that stuff. Plus I had so many years to figure that out because I was working on the warmer and the back end. And so we didn't really launch until 2023. And I started that project at the end of 2021. So it did give me more time. The podcast, however, it was like a spur of the moment. I woke up one day and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to post the podcast. So in 2024, I told myself it was time to rebrand. The podcast needed to see its own colors, its own text, its own Instagram, its own platform. And so that's what took so long. I actually worked with Grove Brands on this. If you guys have not heard of Grove Brands, then I highly recommend them for any of your website marketing, SEO, all of your needs, because it's how people find you. If you're not focused on that when you start a brand, learn from my mistakes, because I look at my Instagram that I'm starting brand new for the podcast. It only has a couple hundred followers. And I think to myself, had I focused on branding in the beginning, would that look different? And the answer I know is yes. So focus on your branding. That's who I recommend. If you've been following me for a long time, I've been working with Grove Brands for a long time. Actually, like in 2020, probably two, I was talking about them because they were doing stuff for the waxing guide. So then I, merged them over to Enso, and now I'm merging them over to the podcast. So that's why I rebranded. I wanted the podcast to be something more elevated. I wanted it to be adjacent to the Enso brand, which is why our main color is patina. If you guys didn't catch that, now you know. And the podcast is like the sister to Enso, which is why it's sponsored by Enso. But I want to make it really clear. Don't think that this podcast is going to turn into a big branded moment for me and Enso. I promise you I'll keep them separate. They are sponsored by Enso. I'll talk about Enso when I talk about, good waxing products, because they are. Like, I believe in that in my soul. So like it would be silly of me not to talk about that. But I promise you this will not be like a huge let's sell Enso to you from start to finish. This is going to be the same podcast elevated with an Instagram, with a platform, with colors, with fonts, with all of that stuff, so that this podcast can be more remembered rather than just throwing things on the internet. So that was a really big reason of why we rebranded. We wanted it to be tailored next to Enso. Let's see. I also did receive a lot of feedback from estheticians over the years that I've gathered, and I've set them aside. I'm right next door to a fire department. So if you guys just heard that, wee wee. And the feedback that I got was amazing, right? So I utilized all of that feedback over the years. I put them into notes, and then I am pulling it for this season. Like, I'm taking the season so, so serious, which is why I have note cards. It's why I have my phone. I really plan to give you guys a true learning platform that you can come on 30 minutes, FaceTime feeling, but leaving either motivated, like you've learned something, like you feel inspired by a guest, or you simply like need to have like a good laugh, because business is effing hard. And I'm firsthand going through it. Like, even though I feel like I've been on like the waxing platform, if you will, for like 5 years, I genuinely feel so brand new. Like I'm at the very beginning, and I'll get into that in another episode. Okay, so again, business, burnout, technique, real stories. We're going to be posting often. Once a week is definitely the goal. And yeah, I'm going to say it out loud, because once a week, why not? You can hear me up in your ear once a week. I actually wanted to give a shout out to a girl who messaged me when I said I was back to podcasting. She said, "Yay, I can't wait. I keep checking Spotify to see if there's been any new episodes," which is Bear X McKen, McKennne. And thank you so much for saying that. Sometimes I do feel like I'm speaking into the void, and I feel like I am such a great speaker, educator when there's people in front of me, because it feels so like for real when I have to, like, when I'm bouncing feedback off of people, or when people are like nodding yes and they're being like, I understand, or I'm totally, vibing with everything that you're saying. But there's something so weird about the podcast where I speak into the void, most of the time looking at myself, which is so distracting, if that makes sense. And then I post, and sometimes, people silently listen, and sometimes I hear feedback, and sometimes, crickets. So it's really nice to get those messages. Anytime I get them, I'm going to make sure to try to shout a few out on the podcast episode just to tell you how much I appreciate you. And let's see. So yeah, my actions for you today before we hop into the next episode, like I said, today was going to be more around like why we started, again, why we rebranded, what we're doing, what you can expect, and all of that. But I do and would appreciate it so, so much if you went onto the Waxing Podcast, hit a follow. If you followed our sponsors, which is Enso, so that's ensowax.com, not .com. You can go there too, but it's Enso Wax on all platforms. Go ahead and give that a follow. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I know this is going to be such a good season, and I'm beyond thrilled that we are back and back in motion to podcast greatness. I didn't actually know how to end that. So, okay, until next time, I'll see you then. Thank you for listening to the Waxing Podcast. If you found today's conversation helpful, be sure to follow the show and leave a review. It helps continue creating resources for beauty pros just like you. For updates and more, follow us on Instagram at the Waxing Podcast. I'll see you next week.